broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey.
I feel like I do the same move every week.
Me too.
I'm trying to switch it up.
Hold on.
Here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. You are watching the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for HBO's Ballers. Today, we're going to be recapping episode 2 of season 1 titled Raise Up. I'm your girl, Kennelia, leading it off today, joined by my fabulous co-host. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Hey, everyone. I'm Sofia Stanley.
And I'm Emile Ennis Jr.
Let's get right into it. What did you guys think? This is episode 2. The pilot kind of, it was like cool. But now we are really into the season. What did you guys think of the episode?
I think they're literally getting their groove. I think that ironically, it's almost like we are in the show in terms of the story as well in the show as for us as viewers. We're still in preseason. So it's like we're still literally working out the kinks. We're trying to get the groove feel. We don't really know the playbook yet. So I can definitely feel like they're starting to get in pocket, but they're not quite there. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's deliberate. It's almost like where we're going along with Ricky and Vern and all the other players in terms of their evolution of preseason.
Good point.
I love all your analogies over there with the sports terms.
Thank you, Mom.
I love it. I think, especially compared to last week, like we said, it's the pilot and we don't know what to expect yet. I don't like to judge the pilot. I think the second episode, I found myself smiling more. I found myself becoming more invested in the characters and learning their names. But no, I loved it. I think it's going to be a great show.
So let's start off with Ricky. We saw last week that Ricky was scraping to get on a team after he had the whole incident at the nightclub. He was sleeping with the girl in the bathroom. He beat up the preppy boy for talking ish. Now he is officially with the Dolphins in preseason. His girlfriend greets him at the front door with a chain and necklace. Let's talk about that a little bit because we really don't know this girl. And we see, oh, she's cool, she's nice. She bought him a necklace with his own damn money. So who do we think she is?
You know what's funny? Up until the point where she said, I bought it with your black card, I was like, oh, she has money, right? Because there's something about her energy. There's something about how she postures with him. This episode, and specifically also last episode with the fact that she was like spitting football jargon, that I was like, this girl seems a little bit different than the quote-unquote typical either groupie that we see or wannabe football wife. And I don't mean to be deliberately condescending, but I do in a way. Yeah. Meaning like I can't really see her being there only for the ride, and I don't know why. And maybe it's because then at the end, like she's painting or something of that nature. But I can't point to a fact or anything in the show. It's just a gut instinct I have that there's something more about her, and I don't know what it is, and that intrigues me.
I would say it's the same thing. The dynamics of the relationship, like Sophia said, aren't typical to what you would see from that type of wife. His girlfriend, which is even better. It doesn't really make sense. When she said the black card statement, it kind of it made sense, but it still didn't quite erase the fact that she could come from money. Or my ears just perked up. It could be that she knows a secret or something because she said next time will be the last time. Just something about the whole way that she talks to him and how they interact. I'm just intrigued, like Sophia. I want to know more about this whole relationship.
Yeah. How about you, Kennelia?
Well, I hope painting isn't her job because she was trash out here. Okay, those paintings were trash. I mean, she was trying, and then they showed him the Jesus on the wall, and Jesus was kind of like, he was like
busted.
Right? Yeah, he was a little, he wasn't the Jesus that I know, but
we can argue that because he kind of was.
He was in color, but he was like he had like
that's the first thing I noticed.
He had like the Kawhi Leonard from the Spurs cornrows to the back. It was just it was she made a good effort, but I agree with both of you. I think there's something about her, obviously, that we don't know. The fact that she was so cool with, like, I've never been in a relationship where I've been cool enough to buy someone a gift with their own money. So to get to that place, you kind of have to have been through something, or you kind of gotta know who you're dealing with to know that I can pull something like this off with him.
That's an excellent point.
Or maybe he was just too focused on football to even really take a point to care. But hopefully we'll see soon about what this girl is about, because, you know, she's here to stay. She's not going nowhere, especially after she found out he was having sex in the bathroom with that lady. So we see Reggie go to practice. Somebody is wearing his number 18. He was distracted the whole time because he was so set on his number. And I don't know about y'all, but I was like, whose number was it? Because obviously there had to be a reason. He had the chain. Now he couldn't even focus. But then we were introduced to a teammate where he actually had a conversation with the teammate, offered him $40,000. Does Reggie have, or not Reggie, but is it Ricky? Does Ricky have $40,000?
Presumably he does, because, I mean, I was going to say I don't know about jewelry, but I know enough about jewelry to know, and they said it, that chain is worth at least $20,000. So the fact that not only does he have, granted it's American Express, but still, the fact that he has access to $20,000 in a way that his girl is going to do it, and presumably she didn't even need to tell him. So meaning he's so unaware of the movement on his own black card that she theoretically, if she hadn't told him, he would have been like, and that's why he kind of was like, yo, where's she gotten the money? But then he wasn't. My only thing is this, and I'm gonna try to be a lot better about not cursing on camera, but this is technically an adult show.
No, do it.
No, this is a little bit different. It's like, yo, doesn't Ricky know you gotta grease people up first before you try to... No, do you know what I mean? Like, he literally has never met this dude before. He's coming in, they're playing the same position, and he basically just walks up to him and is like, yo, are you attached to that number? Before dude even really responds, he's like, okay, here's $40,000. And you're saying that not even recognizing who this dude is. So presumably to this dude, $40,000 isn't nothing because he's the number one spot in the Miami Dolphins for your position. That's the first part. The second part is, you didn't research first? Like, so you're coming on the team and you don't know who your competition is? And you don't know that he wears 18 unless it literally is that he's just starting to wear 18 in this new preseason, which doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I think
and even if he was, he would be that good to where he can switch numbers like that, because only LeBron and Kobe in them are switching numbers. And Chad Johnson when he don't want to be 85. You know what I mean? Otherwise, he had to be that good to be able to switch numbers.
That's
Nobody
true.
on the doo-doo squad is switching numbers.
On the doo-doo squad, I can't.
No, it's true. But yeah, but there's something, and I can't figure it out, because even though I'm really kind of riding Ricky a little hard, because I think there's a certain naivete to him, I also really like him for that exact same reason, because when we see him go home and he's looking at the pictures, and we're going to presume that that's his dad wearing the 81, so it's symbolic because it's like a mirror image of the number, there's something more to him. Like, I'm not buying that he's just a hothead. I'm not buying, and I think I said this episode 1, where all he thought he needed to do was like get down on his knees and pray to God. There was definitely a sincere, honest moment when he sat on the bed and he looked at the picture of Jesus and he did the sign of the cross, because I think he was literally and figuratively trying to humble himself because he had a bad day, and he was just telling himself, like, you've been here before, like, this is what you have to do. Like, you put your head down, you work hard, and then shot to number 81, a picture of him presumably and his dad. And to me, it resonated more that there's layers to this dude. He's not just a hothead.
Yeah. I think in regards to the way he approached the other player, I think in a way he's still in shock from everything that's happened, because if you come from a team where you're one of the star players and you go to this new team, just thinking from an athlete's mind and their perspective, they're really focused on themselves. So it makes sense that he wouldn't research to do. It makes sense that he would go to him, oh, $40,000. I don't know what this dude makes. But even me, who doesn't watch sports, I know that $40,000 to them is not a lot. So you would think he would offer more.
I would have been like, cool.
Of course we would take it.
See, and I feel like you can't, because I feel like it's literally, it's posturing. Like, again, I think there's all sports for the most part are the same, because normally you're an alpha dominant person. Do you know what I mean? Just from the pure adrenaline that's pumping through you. But to me, literally, Ricky being able to come in as second string and offer this dude money means that I just made you my bitch. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, I'm Ricky, and what's his last name? Ricky Jared? I'm Ricky Jared, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I flash money, I get girls, I do whatever the hell I want. So there needed to be that moment where dude was basically like, yo, like, I don't care.
Yeah, because then she's right, because then that sets the precedent. If he would have accepted that, then from then on, he just thinks he can do anything he wants.
Completely. Sure. And I think that's why it was really important for the ball boy to literally be like, no, just you. When he asked, like, oh, is he like that with everyone? And he's like, no, just you.
Dude from Everybody Hates Chris. Shout out to you, buddy.
I think it's Tyler Jesse. Yeah, Tyler. I love him.
So moving on, we have Charles. Charles is flourishing in his new job at the Chevy dealership, Tropical Chevrolet. He's having a great time. He learned everything on the lot. But we see Mr. Seifert, come back to the dealership, and it seems like he's trying to poach him to come back to play. Why do we think he even retired in the first place? Because Seifert said you were too young to retire. So was it a family thing? Because he seemed to have practiced and rehearsed this monologue in his head saying, you know, I'm better as a civilian, soaking up the AC, maybe have some kids. So what do we think about it? Because based on the previews, it seems like he's going to eventually try to get back.
I think actually it was either you, Kennelia, last episode, or it could have been Bam, that to me it's an injury. Like, and again, and just given, and even like how he was like, how Seifert was like, there's not that many big bodies. Like, there is something to be said in the game of football when you have like physical presence, right? To me, that means he's every single play when he's on the defensive line, he's taking a hit. Because that is his job. Like, his job isn't to run. His job isn't to throw. His job is to hit and be hit. I feel like we're going to eventually see, you know, a flashback. And I think that he probably had one too many concussions, number one. Number two, I feel like, and I know everyone's going to be like, how does she just randomly come up with this random stuff? But I feel like he had one too many concussions. And I feel like there's someone in his family or someone he played with who literally not necessarily died on the field, but basically had early onset dementia, and he's like, I don't want my life to turn out like this guy. There's something personal where, especially the way he said, I want to start a family and have kids. My brain goes, oh, I wonder if his dad played football, and I wonder if his dad stayed too long, was never there for them, and then basically ended up with dementia at like 40 and ended up an alcoholic and with no money. Like, to me, it felt too personal because the way he was selling the truck, he was like amped, and he was like, oh yeah, quad training, blah blah blah. And when he was saying why he quit football, it seemed too monotone. That to me is because you're blocking out something emotional that happened in your past.
I'm going to agree with Sophia and then spin it a little bit. I agree with you as far as an injury. I think that it definitely could be an injury happened, and it was leading to something that could have been way worse long term. I think, though, I don't know about you, I love the relationship with his wife.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. There's a dynamic about that relationship, which whoever did the casting show did a really good job with all these characters, but the dynamic in their relationship is very interesting, and it's very trusting and loving, but it also, with her, there's this presence I can't really describe, and it's one of the reasons why I think she could have been the reason why he retired. And the reason I say that is because, you know how there's some wives who, what show, Lord, I was probably watching the game, and there was an episode where there was a football wife who said this, but Jason and
Jason Pitts?
Yeah, Jason Pitts
and Kelly, or Chardonnay?
Kelly. Okay. No, it was Chardonnay. It was Chardonnay. Chardonnay was getting upset about Jason's concussions, and she was trying to get him to quit. So anyway, it's something similar to that where I feel like the wife could have said something and say, you know, I want to start a family. I want to make sure you're still here around so we can do that together. Maybe it is time for you to retire. You've had a great career. People know who you are. And then he let that go. So that's one of the reasons I think it could be.
We'll see. Yeah. Because their relationship is very open. And she seems like she is really down for him. Where you kind of get this idea with basketball and football wives that they're not really in it for the person. They're in it for the lifestyle sometimes. I don't really get that from her. So maybe that is... But
also remember, too, the other reason I say is remember when she came back into the house, he kind of hid the magazine. He turned the game off. So she's not thinking, I'm going back to that. Yeah. So,
but technically he's watching tennis.
True.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like on the flip side, like I really love her character as well, and I feel like you can actually tell that there is love there in the relationship, and she really, just like Kennelia said, rides for him. But again, I don't see the problem if my husband has been at work all day selling cars that he's not allowed to come home and watch ESPN.
It's true. It's true. We'll see.
So there's definitely something there with that story.
So much I want to learn about these characters.
Well, she called him burly, and they broke the table. So that was a nice thing.
That's so funny. Robust.
What did he say? He goes, a fancy way of calling me fat?
Yes.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. Burly was nice, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that. So, Spence, The Rock's character, he's still broke. We start off the episode with him talking to his boss. The boss does not want him to focus so much on Miss Lowenstein, who happens to be an old freak because she blew all of the starters on the 72 Dolphins. She was an old freak.
Oh my God.
Probably jumping back then too.
No, right? But obviously, though she's paid, she was like, yes, diamond dolphin. She made it very clear when he's like, oh, are those little dolphins? Isn't that cute? She wanted to be like, baby love, I could buy and sell you and not even realize they are diamond dolphins.
Lowenstein was going low.
So I don't even know the boss's name. I'm sorry if anybody's watching. Let us know.
It's Worm.
Sorry. They call him Worm. Martin wants him to focus more on getting some of these athletes to sign on with him. Spence says, "Oh, I signed Vern." They start to celebrate. He did not sign Vern. But we see later on what happens with Vern. So let's talk about that. Spence is using all of his money to front this. Now, last week we were talking about him giving Vernon the $300,000. I thought it was from somewhere else. I didn't think that it was from Spence's actual bank account. Even at the end of the episode where it says withdrawn, I just thought he was broke. I didn't think that he had withdrawn all of his money for that. So do we still think that's the case? Or was I just the only one?
No, it's definitely the case. And I think that sometimes, you have to let an episode sit. But I'm almost sure that Jason, the agent, when they were having the conversation last episode, basically, Jason almost put the idea in his head because Jason had done a similar thing for a client and it worked out. This is the thing is, if you have an actual game plan, sometimes you do have to put your money where your mouth is. It's called like investing in your own business. My only problem with Spence literally writing Vern a check for $300,000 out of his own bank account is, dude, you don't have a game plan. Not only do you not have a game plan, but you didn't even get paperwork first. So meaning, like, literally, I would have been like, okay, cool, dude, like, we're gonna have lunch. I have a check for you. And if he's like, okay, swing by the house, I'd be like, no. Meet me, we're gonna have lunch. I'm gonna sit down just like Jason said or Martin said, and we're gonna talk terms. Not only we're gonna talk terms, we're really gonna talk more than just when you get your new deal. We're gonna literally start talking now how you're gonna manage your money. The problem is Spence doesn't even do the thing that he's employed to do. He's not managing his own money. So how is it that when Martin is like, yo, dude, like I had to fight for you to get you hired, and he's like, why? I'm gonna be an asshole and say, because you're a football player. And I'm presuming that unlike certain football players, because there are a myriad of football players who went to school, got a degree, whether or not they got a degree on the front end or a back end, and they're very highly educated, and they either are highly educated in terms of business or in another field of study, right? So I'm being deliberately an asshole when I say football player, knowing that there are football players who are very intelligent and know their business. But we're going to presume that The Rock, Spence, was not one of those dudes.
Well, he talked about it because remember Vernon's manager brought up how he used to be bad with money. He bought a 10,000 gallon aquarium for his living room.
Right.
So he is bad with money.
It's like, dude, like if you don't realize you're not going to make your money back selling, like he said, those whatever the bonds are to the Miss Lowensteins, then you don't realize why you're here. Like if you don't know that you're here because you used to play football and you have access to football money, right there I'm like, oh, dude.
That's the problem.
You don't know what you're doing.
He doesn't know what he's doing, and he's one of those people who he lacks the confidence he needs to do his job properly.
Well said.
Because the problem is his manager talks to him in a way that's very condescending, and it's very, I need you to do what I need you to do for me right now. But he doesn't give any type of support that can give The Rock the encouragement he needs so he can get the job done. Because what it looks like is The Rock was thrown into this, like we saw, because he's a football player, because of the connections that they thought he could use, and he doesn't really want to do that. He doesn't have anybody to say, listen, I know you don't want to ruin the relationships with your friends, but here's a way to do it where you can still have those relationships, you can keep it professional, and I think that you would be great at this. Nobody's told him that yet.
Well, he kind of insinuated that to him, Martin, at the beginning of the episode when he was like, well, this is why you're here.
Yeah.
But besides that, Spence has another roadblock. We are introduced to Reggie.
Oh, my God.
Reggie is Vernon's homeboy back from Crenshaw who manages all of his money. Reggie is the friend who thinks he is the manager. Like, what we got to talk about. He got a phone call, and he was like, what's happening? What's happening? Reggie wants to be in the mix, and partial in all of that is Vernon's fault because people only do what you allow them to do.
Right.
So Reggie and Spence bump heads. we saw that Vernon eventually did sign the contract to be have his money managed by Spence after they had brunch at the Biltmore. That we thought, I definitely thought that Spence was going to have to pay for the whole damn thing. They had crab legs, Moscato. I'm like, come on.
I think it goes back to, with this whole Reggie situation, not only a confidence thing, but a lack of power. Because of the fact that he's essentially broke right now, he's pretty much at the baby steps of trying to figure out this business. He doesn't have any leverage. And I'm going to take it to my other favorite show, Empire. Remember that episode where Lucius beat up V's manager, who was her cousin or whatever?
Yes.
Lucius could do that because he has power, he has money, he can get rid of the situation. He can't do this in this show. Even though I think he's physically able to take him into a trailer and rough him up right quick.
I agree with you 100%, but then Reggie doesn't have any power either. So how you fit into step to me and basically be like, no, I need to be in this meeting, or I can't believe that you're about to do me this way to Vern, when Spence and Vern are about to have a private conversation when your client is broke. Your client is broke and had to call another dude for a loan. I don't know about you, but to me, the only people that you normally can call for a loan are your inner circle family or people who work for you or work with you.
Yeah.
He had to call a friend who, it seems like they're friends, but it seems like they're still a little bit too casual for my liking, if that makes sense. So, as you're basically like, yeah, it's a new McLaren, so, again, I kind of know cars, so I'm assuming that's about $150. You spend $150 on the car, but you want to be like, oh, but I leased it? Like, to me, you are the problem. You're literally the problem. And me getting handout, unless he literally is able to get handouts from every dude on the block and literally is stacking checks, you have no leverage. You are literally the problem.
He doesn't know he's the problem because think about it. He threw money in the air at the mariachi band. When you're allowed to make it rain on the mariachi band, you already don't have a realistic gauge of finances because Vern let him. If you were Reggie and I was Vern and I saw you throwing money from the mariachi band and I knew you got that money from me, I would pull you to the side and be like, don't you ever in your life make it rain on the mariachi band. What are you thinking?
I think with Reggie too, it's one of those things I'm trying to think if I had somebody like that in my life. But I think the thing is, since Reggie, they've known each other for years, I don't know if you guys have, there's certain people who I just trust them a certain way, and even if he didn't have the money, he had to call a friend, they can still weasel their way and talk to me in a way where they might be able to get me to be like, oh, that's okay, Reg, it's all going to be good. I still trust you. Everything's fine.
Unless Reggie thinks that Vern is deserving. Maybe it's an entitlement that you only get once you're at that height of your career or you're that good. Some people are that good where everybody around them feels like, so what if I ask them for $30,000? It's you Vernon. Like maybe it's that mentality.
Like a hype man?
Like a hype man.
Yes, yeah. That's understandable, but not when you the money man. Does that make sense? It's cool if you the hype man, but you are actually the person who manages my money, and you literally know that I just had to borrow $30,000 from this dude. That's the first part. The second part is, and this actually was a little bit upsetting for me, is I understand the art of the deal, and I understand that you have to negotiate. So when Jason had to go to the owner of the Dallas Cowboys and talk about Vern's deal, I understand that the owner has to play down his assets and his skill sets, but there was a part of me that's like, no, you beat. Because at the end of the day, the fact that Jason had to come back and was like, yo, he's the best defensive tackle in the league. Like, that's not subjective, that's objective. Like, the stats can show that you literally have the best defensive tackle. Let's think about that. You are the best at what you do, and you have to negotiate year by year. So every single year, you have to go back in and negotiate. So I went, I came, I conquered, and you're not going to just extend my deal because I did a great job?
But is this is a beginning contract. So how I understand it is, once you get drafted, they signed you to maybe 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Once that is up, before it's up, you then negotiate. It sounds like he's trying to negotiate before that even happens. So he probably won't have
one more year left.
He has 1 more year left, so he won't have to negotiate, keep going. He's just trying to do it early because he's dead broke.
True, and I feel you on that, and I think that that's important information, but on another level, in any other industry, someone would re-up you. Someone, if your assets were that good, they would re-up you. And the only reason they don't is because the industry is so effing volatile. Think about it. The problem is because they're literally like, I'm not going to fund you if for any reason you get hurt.
True.
Does that make sense? And that's a problem. But most other businesses, that's normally not an issue. It's not a variable in the equation. And it's just something that I feel like they have to have put that scene there for a reason. And I think that there's an underpinning of the game of football on these deals that we're hearing like $13 million, however many $1 million for 4 years, whatever, that we're thinking, oh my God, that's a lot of money. But at the same time, think about it. The fact that you do have to go into preseason, you literally have to risk your body and your life and possibly your sanity, and you don't know if next year you're going to have any money coming in.
And it's not all guaranteed, never. It's never all the way guaranteed.
The last thing I'll say back to the Reggie thing, because I just thought about this. Or not even Reggie, Spence. When Spence first gave him the $300,000 before he handed that check off, remember after he handed it off, he said, you're my client. He tried to shake his hand and he walked up. Oh, we're gonna come hang out? And he was like, no, I'm good. I think he should have held on to the check. Held on to the check, actually went and hung out with him.
Oh, true.
Because if you think about the way that Vern's mentality is, if he would have went and hung out with him, he could have approached this completely different way where he could have navigated it and said, oh, let's talk about this and that. So if he did pull the bullshit with the Biltmore thing, when they went there, even if he went outside with him, he wouldn't have called Reg over because they would have had that report from earlier where they had that conversation.
Good point.
Because he views everyone as family, as and that's why he trusts them, because they're family. Excellent point, Emile.
That's an excellent point. So we also, like I said, he eventually signs on to do business with Vernon. Reggie had a problem with it. He was kind of salty, but he went along with it. And we also learned that Spencer only has $3,052 to his name.
In an account he didn't even know that he had.
So hopefully things work out with him, and we'll see what happens. But anything else before we wrap up the topics of the show?
No, but the only thing is, the minute he signed on the dotted line, I literally was like, yo, Spence, that was a bad move. I don't know why, but that was a bad move.
So he shouldn't have signed on the line.
Not with Reggie involved.
He shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. And literally, I don't know. I'll save it for predictions.
Okay.
I'll save it for predictions.
All right, guys. So let's jump into Cold Piece. Cold Piece of the Week for Episode 2 of Season 1 of HBO's Ballers goes to Ricky's girlfriend's paint and sip classes. Because she only learned how to paint like that at Paint and Sip.
Oh my God.
They got Groupons all the time. They be like $10 for Paint and Sip. But you literally are shown something, and they show you step by step on how to paint. The glasses in the fruit bowl that she was painting was literally from the Paint and Sip classes in Burbank, California. She doesn't have a job, I'm assuming, because she's always there, and she painted Jesus, which, like Sophia said, he was kind of cool. Maybe he looked a little bit like Jesus, but I thought he looked like Kawhi Leonard. So for that reason, I'm giving Ricky's girlfriend, I don't know her name, Cold Piece of the Week for Episode 2. Let us know who you think Cold Piece of the Week is. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook using #ColdPiece.
Oh my God.
All right, let's go to news and gossip. Sophia has something for us.
I do.
TV news.
This actually, one of our fans sent me a link to an article on Facebook, and it was really interesting. It is a retired running back. He used to play with the Pittsburgh Steelers and actually won a Super Bowl ring, and also used to play for the Arizona Cardinals. He was a running back. His name is Rashard Mendenhall. Again, Rashard Mendenhall, former running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Arizona Cardinals. And he is impressive because he retired very early. He retired at the age of 26. He had a 6-year career and earned $13.8 million. And he is now a WGA writer. And he actually writes on Ballers. The article is really interesting, and we will definitely post it to AfterBuzzTV.com. But what I found extremely impressive about him is he basically said he has always wanted to be a writer. That has always been his end goal. That has always been his passion. And on some senses, football really has only been his day job. And he always knew that he was going to play football. It would, in essence, give him the financial resources he needed to then do what he really loved. And his goal was to write articles, then publish a book. However, what ended up happening is he wrote an article for Huffington Post, which basically sped up the process. And after the article that he wrote for the Huffington Post, basically, he was able to get a job writing, and you have to do a particular number of hours to actually become an official member of the Writers Guild. He did that. He paid his dues and wrote on the first season of Ballers. So I just really wanted to highlight that and commend him for that. And I think that people forget that football or sports in general can often be an amazing springboard for something else. And so never judge a book by its cover. Never solely think that because someone plays sports that is their end all be all and that's a totality of who they are. So just kind of wanted to highlight that and give a shout out to Rashard Mendenhall.
All right, cool. So let's get into predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So I think, in regards to Charles, I think Charles is going to go about this whole career behind his wife's back, obviously. But I think it's going to cause a problem, not necessarily because he wants to go back into it with football, but when you sneak around behind your wife's back or your girlfriend, you automatically assume that he's cheating. So I think it's going to cause that kind of rift where she's like, "Are you cheating on me?" And he's like, "No, no, no." And then we find out that he wants to play football again, or he's at least considering it. So that's one of my predictions.
My prediction, I don't know why, but I feel like Reggie has done something bad that is going to blow back on Spence, and Spence is going to have to cover it. And I feel like it's actually going to be that he stole money either from Vern or from someone else. And the reason being is you never drop nuggets for no reason. The fact that Spence was ripped off by his manager, there has to be, it has to cycle back. And somehow, I don't know why, but him somehow being kind of almost contractually connected with Reggie is going to blow up in his face, because I feel like Reggie somewhere did something a little unethical, if not illegal.
I agree with both of you guys. I'm going to piggyback off Kennelia's. I think something's definitely going to happen with Charles' relationship. I think that the table breaking was not only symbolic of his weight, but I think it was symbolic of their relationship crashing down.
Ooh, okay.
Y'all are
like
man.
that. No, I like that. Can I change mine? What Emile said.
Oh my God, I cannot.
I see you.
And I'll do an honorary Bam, so what, who cares?
Oh, cool.
We miss you, Bam.
Bam will be back next week, guys. But that's all we have for you. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you check back with us next week. Where can they find you guys on social media?
At Emile Ennis Jr. on all social media, and on YouTube at Chasing LA.
At Sofia Stanley, Twitter and Facebook, at the Sofia Stanley on Instagram.
You can find us on Happy Hour, a shot of conversation, available on iTunes. You can also find me at Kennelia on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you so much, guys, again for tuning in with us. Check back with us next week, because we may have a special guest coming in. But again,
from executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.